Okay, so welcome everyone. I will try and leave time at the end for questions, and I encourage everyone to already think of questions. I suspect we can also have a translation live if needed for any questions, so don't be shy. So, I'm here to talk about FOSDEM. For those who don't know, FOSDEM is the largest open source conference on earth. You only see a fraction of the actual people attending FOSDEM. This is the main room. The photo was taken while I was given the opening talk of FOSDEM, and just some other photos. It's also hosted at a university. So the concept of FOSS for all being hosted here is very natural to me. Unfortunately, we actually have to pay quite a bit. So having good professors who can support local events is good. So FOSDEM happens every year in Université Libre in Brussels, in Belgium. It always happens in one weekend in late winter. The reason why it's always around late January, early February is because this is just before classes we start for the second half of the university year. University year starts in summer in Europe. I don't know how it is here. And basically they have already warmed up and cleaned and brought everything back up to speed for the students, and so we get the weekend before. There is zero commercial angle to FOSDEM. It is completely about open source, and it is run almost exclusively with open source. Like, for example, network hardware, it's not fully open source because network is sometimes a little bit hard, but for example, video and everything is fully open source. We also have one of those boxes here. I am going to talk about that in a second. We do not have any paid staff. It is completely by volunteers. The one exception is we pay the security staff and the toilet cleaners, but other than this, no one gets paid, and those are not staff. And again, it is the largest open source conference on earth. So, how do we split all of this up? So we have the main tracks where FOSDEM staff selects all of the different talks, and we have lightning talks which are also being selected by the main staff. But other than that, we have a concept of dev rooms. Dev rooms is basically we as FOSDEM give other people the ability to run their own mini conference within our conference. So we give them video, we give them a room, we give them a hosting platform where they can run the CFP, where they can announce the schedule, all of those things, all the logistics we do for them, and then they can apply and basically run their own mini conference. So we have a very broad area of topics, and it allows us to get experts for the different areas to run their own thing without us having to become experts at every last thing. They just run their own thing. We have booths, which is basically unpaid tables where open source projects and open hardware projects can apply, and then they can just present their work and they can talk to other people about what they do, how they do it, and everything. And this allows a lot of projects to have a lot of good conversations and showcase their work and get new contributors, but also just maybe help with problems or something. So this is something which I would always suggest to try to replicate. We have 40 fringe events. Fringe events are basically other people running stuff before or after FOSDEM, because a lot of people are in Brussels anyway. It's over 12,000 people coming just for FOSDEM. And some companies, for example, have their engineering all hands, their leadership summits and everything before or after FOSDEM, because everyone is on site for FOSDEM anyway, wherever they are in the world, and this is quite convenient. So, for example, Red Hat, I don't know if they still do it, but for years they always had their global senior engineer meetup or meeting in Brno right after FOSDEM, because all the engineers are in Europe anyway. We don't have a beer event since some time. So, test. Kristen? When I say it is the largest conference or open source conference on earth, what do I mean? So last year, or actually this year, early 25, we had 1,105 talks and events scheduled. Out of those were 38 lightning talks. We had 1,184 speakers, and I mean, you can read the rest yourself, but we had, of those mini conferences in a conference, we had 70 different mini conferences in this one weekend, with a total of 217 people managing all of this. We also had 70 booths where projects could talk about what they do. 43 birds of a feather. Birds of a feather is a little bit like an unconference. You give people a room and they just talk about stuff which they want. So they can submit topics and then they just meet and they talk for an hour about video editing. I don't know, like whatever they want to talk about, they can write in and then other people can come. This was run by 174 volunteers and 28 unpaid staff, myself amongst those 28. One statistic which is missing here, maybe it's coming later, but one statistic which is missing here, within those 2 weeks, we actually recorded within those 2 days, we recorded more than 2 weeks of continuous cut content. So not just like random stuff, but like if you actually sit down and watch everything, it would take you 2 weeks, day and night, every single minute, just to watch everything which has been produced within those 2 days. So it is really massive. So why do we do this? Honestly, you need to be a little bit crazy to do this kind of thing. I mean, Moon is not here, but like he has the same vibes of a little bit crazy and a little bit dedicated. And this is something which you need. Like you need to be able to take a lot of pain and work and not a lot of sleep if you believe in something like this. It's just part of being honest, but it's also very, very much worth it. Sleep is not a lot in the run-up and during conferences, but we do believe in open source, and this is at the core of why we run FOSDEM, because getting people together, enabling people to form communities, to form friendships, to work together, to know that something else is existing which they might be able to collaborate with, this is core to making open source work. Getting people into a room and talking about things is one of the most important aspects of open source, in particular because so much happens online within open source. So how do we do all of this? So FOSDEM staff, again myself included, basically working over many years and under the year, which means it's not just you show up and you do the thing over a weekend. We work basically, so we stop in February and then we get a long break until August, and we don't do a lot because everyone is like, I'm done. And then in August we start again with the planning for the next year's edition. And this is basically what in our nomenclature discerns staff from volunteers. Staff are the people who do the stuff under the year, during the year, and for a longer time. The DevRel managers, again, are those people who run the conference within the conference, and they're responsible for talk selection, for cleaning the room, for code of conduct, for managing and emceeing, announcing speakers. All of those things is DevRel managers. And volunteers, they basically come and they volunteer from Friday afternoon to Sunday, but most of them from Saturday morning to Sunday. And they basically do stuff which needs doing on site. Might be taking care of codes, might be cleaning up if someone spills something, might be just directing people, might be helping if a room is full and asking people not to push in or something. There's a very strong training on the job element. We don't do a lot of training beforehand or anything. Basically the model is we have a person and they know what they're doing, and then they get a few volunteers and they just do it. And the volunteers see what is happening, what needs doing, and we don't tell them very much. So maybe this is also, in particular in Asian cultures, important to emphasize, enable and encourage people to just do it and not wait for permission. Like they see something which needs doing, they don't need to ask, just do it. This is very important for how we are able to run with the volunteer system. And someone I know, they told me they volunteered for the first time, but no one really told her what to do. But it was always clear what needed to be done and how. And this is this environment of everyone helping, everyone working together, which you want to create. So how do we do this on the software side? For Call of Papers, we have pre-talks, which is open source software, you can just run it. Penta format is only relevant for, let me mentally restart. It has interfaces to a lot of things. So for example, when you publish a schedule and you have online schedule applications and such, a lot of them just happen to work with this format, which is good. For maps, there is 3CNAV, where you, again, open source, you can upload and you can build a map and then it can tell you, okay, this one thing is here and so. So for example, when we saw the what is where earlier, you can just put this online and people can even navigate and so on site. Chat, we use Matrix. I know some people here also use Matrix. For inventory, I don't think this works out, so we currently don't have anything. We just use a lot of paper for inventory, which is bad, but... and for point of sale, it's currently not open source, but we wrote it ourselves and we're working on it, so you can, for example, buy t-shirts also on site. So, this is the video box. Here is a QR code where you can also get more information about the video box. There it is. Here is one of those video boxes, but actually the conference or this room was supposed to be running through this video box, but apparently the audio mixer broke this morning because some wrong power was plugged in and now it's broken. So unfortunate, but whatever. The point is, all of this it's running with open source and it is running with open hardware. Like not everything in there is open hardware, but quite a few things are. And we have even designed some of the chips and such ourselves. For example, the mixer on the left, this is our design. It's fully open hardware. You can just build 20 yourself if you want or improve it and everything. And this is one of the things where we as FOSDEM try to bring more into the world and not just do it for ourselves, but really also enable others to run with the stack which we have built over time. So again, fully open source. If anyone else has conferences they want to run, we are always happy to talk about this and send them around or loan them during the year. We actively pushed several of those boxes into the Asian region and gave them to several people so they can take them, experiment, run conferences, give feedback, maybe help improve. Sometimes they break, but it is what it is. So it's not actually used here at the conference, as I learned some time ago. This is how we do the video rendering for the different rooms. We used to do this on servers, and then you need big servers, and you need to do all the load balancing and all the everything. And then we realized, okay, we want to have backup power. And then we realized, okay, sometimes you just need to look at one single thing, and then it would be nice to have a keyboard and everything. And then we're like, yeah, okay, if I need one machine, this is one machine per stream, basically. And then at some point we realized, instead of just using big servers, which are heavy and you have to carry them around, just use a lot of laptops, because they have battery power, they have a keyboard and everything. And this was if it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid. So it really works. I can only recommend doing this kind of thing because it makes it easier. Also, honestly, it's cheaper. If you buy a really big server, that's more expensive than if you just buy a few good laptops on eBay or whatever you use here. Maybe also one thing to hear, we used to just sell them or resell them after. So we basically bought them a few months before, and then we just resold them because we didn't need them. And this way we didn't have the money locked in under the year. We stopped doing this because the power adapters are, this is the last revision which is able to do certain things, but highly recommend to not just have money sitting around all year for something like this. A little bit on the timelines, and I mean, you don't need to read all the details, but if you skim it, you will see that previously we had much more stress. Like in 2016, when I took over a network, we installed the router for everyone on the Friday before. So anything breaks, anything goes wrong, no internet for the whole conference. Not good. And we pushed this out further and further to the point where now we basically have it running 24 hours the whole year. Yeah, and also the network and such, like we used to one time in 2015 I actually had 2 different sets of opening talk slides, one with this is how it works, and one with sorry we don't have internet. And again, like we push this out further and further, and now sometimes we even have it done the week before. So the main thing from here is once you start doing stuff, once you get this both economy of scale and also just like repetition, and you can train more people and they can learn and they remember from last year and all of those things. Try and always optimize so for next time you have less work and less stress. How do we do finance? We have sponsorships. We give almost 0 benefits to sponsorships, to sponsors. They don't even get booths or anything. They get their logo on the website, they get a thank you during the opening or during the closing, and that is pretty much it. Obviously, we have a very privileged position because FOSDEM is such a big name. We have so many people who want to sponsor that we can do this kind of thing. But one of the most important things, when you give sponsors control over content, you can never take this back again, because they will always say, oh, I don't pay if you don't give me access and give the sponsor talk or something. Yeah. Also, we sell t-shirts, we sell hoodies, and sometimes we have sold the laptops. Yeah, if you want to clone our infrastructure, our video setup, those are the QR code. And if anyone has any questions, now is a good time. I don't know how we do. Do we have a runner microphone, or do you yell and I repeat? Okay, yell and I repeat.
So you talked about this network setup.
Yes.
But is in a university, and I was there, and it was so many people, and still Wi-Fi somehow worked, or how do you do this?
So the question, just for the recording and everything, was how do we do network? So it is a university, and it was working quite well. How do we do this that works as well? So there's a combination. Previous years, we actually installed some access points ourselves. In the meantime, technology has become good enough that the access points which are installed can carry the load of the people. So what we do is we actually use the access points by the university. And we can also tell them here, maybe put some more and such, but it's very limited. But internet upstream and everything is running through our own system, because honestly it would be too expensive and they don't have the load and capacity and everything. And for us, my background is actually networking. So we have our own internet uplink, 2 actually. We have a core router, and we have like a proper setup, and then we just get VLANs to the access points. So this basically, it's actually a good point. It always depends on how your local setup is, and try and just make the best of what you have. You can't always make it perfect. Try and find where you don't have to do the work, and you can just reuse stuff, but in a way which is efficient and doesn't block you. And this can be super weird. Other example, we had one of those video boxes at not Course Club, it was FOSS Asia, and the venue didn't really allow us to connect them or anything, so in the end we ended up using a cell phone and did video streaming over the cell phone from the video boxes, because this is how we could make it work. So, yeah. Any other questions?
How did you convince your sponsor to give you money? Why they don't have any benefit?
So the question is, how could we convince the sponsors if they don't have any benefits? Again, this is the privileged position of FOSDEM. It is the biggest thing in open source. A lot of companies, a lot of founders, a lot of CTOs, a lot of very senior people at a lot of companies have attended FOSDEM for years. Sometimes maybe they stopped, but a lot of people have been to FOSDEM who are now in good positions. So very often it's actually senior people in companies who just say, I want to sponsor this, which gives us a lot of leverage over sponsors. And this is basically how we arrived at this, but also this has been running for 25 years. So it used to be very different in the early days, but we never compromised on the content. We never compromised on giving sponsors very much. And so it's also just a thing which everyone knows. Like maybe the sponsors don't like it, but their boss's boss tells them sponsor this thing, and we tell them, well, you get nothing, and then they sponsor. The important part is don't give too much. So again, if you say, I offer a sponsored keynote, it is almost impossible to take this back. I'm part of one conference where we did this against my very strong objections, and it was very hard to take this back. Yeah.
What was your personal motivation to do this?
What's my personal motivation to do all of this? That's a very good question. I got started and I didn't stop. I like connecting people. And I like the chaos. But yeah, other than this, honestly, sometimes I ask myself the same question, but somehow I keep doing it. Anyone else? Okay. Then we're perfectly back on time. I think I saved 4 minutes. Very good. Thank you.